Welcome to Talking with Tech. I'm your host, Rachel Madel, joined by Chris Bugay. Chris, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. It's been a hot second, so it's always great to talk to you and to catch up with all the listeners.
Yes, I am. I've been missing us. I've been missing the podcast. As many of our listeners know, we haven't been posting as consistently. There's been a lot of kind of changes that have happened with the podcast and just kind of our worlds professionally. And so we're still doing the podcast. We're just like figuring out what like this next chapter looks like.
100%. So let's give a big thanks to Luke Paget. Luke being the podcast producer for many, many years, super helpful in creating the pod. For the longest time, it was you and me and Luke and Michaela. Luke has sort of retired from his podcasting journey with us. I think we could always reach out to him and he'd be super helpful if we needed to. So thank you, Luke, for the years of partnership. Fun fact, after doing this all these years, I have still not met Luke in person. So that day is coming someday in the future. I'm going to go whatever his new venture is. So yes, thank you, Luke.
Yes. I mean, Luke has been such an incredible part of this team. And it's just like, it's so cool to look back on just how our Talking with Tech team came to be. Like, it just kind of so synchronously like came together and we all found each other. And yeah, it's been like an incredible journey and really excited. Luke is actually like starting a cookie business. Like he's an amazing baker. And so, yes, I'm really pumped for him. And, you know, as amazing as things are, like there's usually like some type of like natural ending and closing and shifting and changing. And so, yeah, we're like so grateful for everything that Luke has done for the podcast and excited for his new venture.
Now that brings us to Michaela. So Michaela, being the audio engineer that reached out to us back in the early days and said, "Hey, I have some experience with audio. I do stuff for professional Hollywood productions. Can I help you? Because I'd like to learn about speech stuff and language stuff and AAC stuff while I'm doing the podcast. I might as well edit it for you." And we've become super close ever since then. She too has decided not to retire from the podcast, but take sort of an extended break, thinking, "Hey, I'd like to come back when I have more time." Right now, that life is lifing, and she has, a larger family, lots of kids that she is helping support through their journeys and her own with changing professions from working in Hollywood as an audio engineer to being an assistive technology specialist and speech language pathologist and all those things. So just life is in flux. She doesn't want to, she said, "I don't want to close the door on this chapter of my life. I'd like to keep it cracked open with the possibility of coming back. But for now, she's on sort of an extended hiatus."
Yes, Michaela has been such an incredible part of the team. And she really reached out and she's like, "Your audio quality is not so good. Like, I could really help you with that." And we're like, "Great." We don't know what we're doing. So, yeah, she's definitely like made this podcast so like totally up leveled it as far as the production value and just her amazing experience. And yeah, our team has been so cohesive and just like such a great kind of working unit. And yeah, it's amazing to kind of look back on the podcast and see how much success that we've had and how much impact we've had. And it would not have been possible without Luke and Michaela.
And then if people are listening right now going, "Ooh, but the audio, it sucks right now." It's me. Taylor Swift will tell you, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I'm the one doing the audio. And so I'm doing the best I can. I'm the JV version of Michaela. And now we're living with generative AI that can help me. Back in the day when I was doing the AT Tips cast, I was doing all that audio engineering by myself, and it shows because I was definitely a rookie back then. I'm doing my best to make it work, which also brings us to us. Let's talk about where we've been and what we've been doing. I know people, I'm sure, are wondering about your mom, Rachel, to the extent that you're comfortable. You were talking the last time. One of the reasons we were taking a break is because you were doing a lot of care around your mom. How are things on the mom front?
Thanks for asking. And I really appreciate so many of our listeners reaching out, like checking in. Like, I'll go do a speaking event and someone will come up and say like, how's your mom? And just like, it's so meaningful and touching to me how supportive everyone has been. I'm happy to report that my mom is actually doing really well right now. Like she does have stage 4 cancer that has spread to her brain. So it's like a very scary diagnosis. And she's had a lot of kind of ups and downs as far as her just like having impacts of having brain tumors with like vision and balance loss, memory challenges, confusion. Like, she's had some pretty intensive treatments. We were like thinking that she's going to have another brain surgery. So there's just been a lot of ups and downs. But I'm happy to report her last brain scan was stable. And she's actually like come out of this kind of fog of confusion that I think was probably being caused by some of the inflammation from the tumors. And she's in like a really good place. She's been not as confused. She's been happy, waking up with energy, like definitely feels like kind of has turned over this new leaf. And it's been like stable, which, it's been in July, it will have been 2 years since she was diagnosed. And it's just been pretty like intense journey up and down with just the care that she's needed and all of the different kind of doctors. I mean, she has a team of like 15 doctors at this point, like so many incredible doctors from the University of Pennsylvania, which is where her oncology team is. So it's been a lot. It's been a lot of just like, okay, like we'll wait and see for this next scan. And like, oh no, like this scan doesn't look good. And like, now what? And like, okay, it's better. But like, now there's a new scan and there's something new. Like, it's just, no one can prepare you for that level of, a roller coaster ride emotionally. But like, she's such a fighter. She's so strong. I'm so proud of her. She's done such incredible things as far as like diet, lifestyle. Like, she really has taken this diagnosis and like completely transformed her life in such a positive way. And I think it shows. Like, I think that like there's such a strong mind body connection, and believing that either you're sick and you're dying or believing that you're healing, like it matters. And I feel like she's just been so incredible with her mindset, and really just waking up every day and like seeing life like in a super positive way, and despite all of the challenges, like showing up as the best version of herself. And so I'm proud of her. I'm like, I've been there every step of the way supporting her. I've spent tons of time with her physically on the East Coast. So there's been a lot of travel on my side of the my side of the street, which makes working and running two businesses really hard. But there's like a nice little reprieve right now from like all of the stress and uncertainty. And of course, it's always kind of running in the background, which is the other thing that nobody really tells you is, oh, this is going to just be this thing that like hovers over you and wakes you up in the middle of the night sometimes with a pit in your stomach because it's still there. But it does feel like it's kind of leveled out a little bit. And that's nice and very welcomed because it's stressful.
Yeah. So during this little reprieve, we immediately said, "Let's go record a podcast episode
For
and fill
sure.
that time with Talking with Tech podcast episode and fill people in with what else is going on." So that's what's going on with your mom. What about work wise? What's been the latest?
It's been there's never a dull moment when you like own a practice, and when, I also have an online business. I've been trying desperately to finish my new version of AACLA assessment. So that course was created in 2020 and it's now 2026. And so a lot of the way that I operate and think about AAC assessment has changed. And so I was like, I need to actually make a brand new course. Like, I'm kind of shutting down this initial course forever. And I've been working diligently on a new assessment course. But, life's been lifing. So I just actually sent a very vulnerable email a couple weeks ago to my email list saying like, hey, like everyone keeps emailing me asking like, when is your assessment course opening again? Like, I'm a brand new AAC specialist in my district, and like I want to take your AAC assessment, like AACLA assessment course. And so I had to just share, like, I want so badly for it to be done, but it hasn't been done. However, like I've been definitely chipping away at it, and I feel like it's really close to being done. So that's kind of what I've been working on. We just opened AAC treatment, which was nice. I was like, okay, I thought I was going to be opening the assessment course by now, but unfortunately, we have to keep delaying this timeline. But I'm trying to like take a step back and realize that I'm doing the best that I can. I'm juggling a lot and it's going to get done when it's going to get done. Like life has a way of just like working itself out, and you have to kind of prioritize the thing that's right in front of you that needs your immediate attention, and that of course has been my family and my mom. And so but like I'm excited. Like the plan is crossing fingers, the plan is I'm launching it in the fall. So I'm very close to being done and I'm super excited. I feel like as I've like continued making it, I'm like, it's just like such a flow state that I get into. I'm like, oh, I'm like, I can't wait to teach this concept in this way. And like, this is an amazing video I caught from like one of my assessments. Like, I can't wait to share this. So it's definitely like a labor of love. And it's one of my favorite things to do is like create content and teach people. And it's been really fun. And I'm really excited to like, hopefully like put a bow on it and then put it out into the world.
Mhm. Well, I think most people would agree with prioritizing your family and getting what you can done
Yep.
and being patient with it and not rushing and having it suck, right? Spending the time to make it be what you want it to be so that it's quality stuff for people. I'm sure we've all remember or have had experiences where we've either purchased something or got something and it wasn't quite what we thought it was going to be
Mm-hmm.
because someone did rush it or felt incomplete. So,
Totally.
spending the time to get it right makes it's part of who we are,
Yep.
um speaking of prioritizing family, that's what I've been doing during our sort of extended break. We have put out a handful of podcast episodes since we've been sort of on our extended break, so that's been a little bit of getting that done. But family wise, my daughter is a senior in high school, so she's heading off to college, which means my wife and I are facing empty nesting, and
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to prioritize as much time with her as possible before she leaves, with although giving her a healthy amount of space. You hear me mumble my way through that. Um, Trying to strike that balance. Um, the work front is also super busy. There was a future episode we will talk about. I'm sure we will talk about the new accessibility law. I don't know we've gone into that
Mm-hmm.
extensively here on the podcast, but that has been consuming a lot of my time as a guide to my school district and beyond about how to embrace this new accessibility law. If you don't know what it is, go look it up, teaser, or you can wait maybe for when we get an episode out about it. Um, but then on top of that, so in the professional front, I've been working with the Inclusive 365 team to generate 4 new books. So
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are done, and they will be out in June. They're available for pre-sale now. I'll put it in the show notes. Here's the story behind that. So the Inclusive 365 team is Mike Murata, Beth Poss, Karen Janowski, and myself. And we wrote a book together called Inclusive Learning 365 EdTech Strategies for Every Day of the Year. And what that is a giant book with 366 strategies, plus a
Mm-hmm.
front matter about what it is to develop an inclusive mindset. Um, and it was pretty popular and popular enough that they asked us to write a second edition. And when we went to go, like the first edition, we were writing it during the pandemic. So it's been a hot second and technology has changed. Like we wrote it before, or just like generative AI was just coming out, and the landscape of education and technology has changed. Um, and so they asked us, this is popular. Can you give us a second version and second edition? Which I have some experience with because my solo ventures, the new assistive tech, is on its second edition, right? So I know what it is to update a book. And when we got together to talk about it, we were like, you know what? Let's not write one book with 366 strategies in it that are updated, because something we noticed is that, like, if I'm just focused on literacy right now, do I need all the other strategies? Or if I'm a general ed math teacher, can I just get to the STEM section, right? Why am
Mm-hmm.
I? So we decided to break it up into 4 separate books, each one with 52 strategies. So still sticking with the theme of learning a little bit each with each segment of time. Instead of daily, it's weekly.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 2 that are done are Inclusive 52 Reading. So, Inclusive 52 Reading, Weekly Strategies to Improve Literacy for All Learners, and Inclusive 52 Executive Functioning, Weekly Strategies to Help All Learners Thrive. So those are the two that are done. When I say done, they're in the final stages of editing, but they're available for pre-sale now. The physical books will be out at the International Society Technology Education Conference, which is coming up at the end of June. I'll be there, by the way, and so will the Inclusive 365 team down in Orlando. A sort of like a book launch, I guess you could call it, happening there. But like I said, I'll put it all in the show notes so people can go check out those titles if that would be something interesting to you. The other two books we're working on are yet to be titled, but it's going to be Inclusive 52, something about professional learning, and Inclusive 52 on the topic of writing, which is a huge topic here in contemporary education, especially with generative AI. How do we weave in the right way to use the technology to help kids learn how to write, and it doesn't just supplant writing, and what's that right mix and formula? And we're excited to kind of bring that to life in our book. So that's been keeping me busy in the free moments when we're not podcasting together. But I will say, Rachel, that besides the listeners, I missed my Bessie, like so often this podcast, one of the reasons I think it has the legs that it has over the years is that you and I get together to talk to each other. It's learning for ourselves. That's learning from the people we interview. But then, hey, Rachel, this thing happened in my life. Can I give it to you and give me feedback, and then vice versa? And so I'm looking forward to more of that.
Totally, Chris. I've been like writing down all of the little moments that I've had that I'm like, like I would totally go to the podcast and share this as a story. Like I'm gonna eventually get to it. And I've definitely missed you. You've been super busy. I'm really excited about these books. As you were talking, I was like, oh, like I want that book and I want that book and I want that book. And it's super interesting because like you're right, like the landscape around education is rapidly evolving and transforming, and like in some ways like some people are like really like leaning in, and other ways some people and districts are really leaning out. And so it's an interesting time, I think, to be in education. And so yeah, I'm really pumped to see what you guys come up with and kind of launch into the world, because I do think that there's like a lot of need for guidance in this area, especially with generative AI. And I already know you and I know your stance generally on generative AI. And I feel like it's an important voice to be like, here's how we utilize this technology in a really supportive way that actually helps inform and educate students on like how to harness the technology. Like it's not going anywhere. Like everything is rapidly changing in the world. So like education needs to rapidly change with it. And so, yeah, I'm really excited
Yeah.
to see what you guys come up with.
I'm very hopeful that the changes in technology will be good for education. I'm much more skeptical that schools will embrace it, sort of divorcing the two concepts of education and school, as those are different.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm nervous about school. Something that hasn't stopped for you or me during all this time has been the number of webinars and in-person presentations. You and I presented together at ATIA, and we're always looking for opportunities to present together in the future. And I try and bring this up every time when I have an opportunity to talk about, we are in an anti-ed tech movement right now. And
Mm-hmm.
that is devastating for people with disabilities and for people who don't have disabilities. Maybe they're not identified. So again, a whole other topic to get into that isn't right for today. Let's talk about the future of Talking with Tech. So what's the plan moving forward? And I think it's sort of this. We're going to just surprise you.
Exactly. We're going to keep you on your toes. Like, what's Talking with Tech doing this week? Yeah, I mean, I think the plan is to just like keep finding time to like get together and record. We've heard from a lot of listeners over the years that their favorite parts of the episodes oftentimes are you and I just like our little banter in the beginning. And so we thought, well, we can keep doing that. We can keep showing up and sharing some of our stories. We also can keep finding really incredible people to interview, and we can, keep doing that. I think that it's been it's been hard for us to kind of figure out like what does this look like, and so we've kind of landed in like we're just going to keep figuring it out as we go and doing the best that we can. And obviously we're very dedicated to high quality content, and so I think as long as that's kind of our north star in all of this, The kind of execution of it all is going to take whatever shape it's going to take, but you'll still be hearing from us. We don't know how regularly, but we're going to do our best to keep kind of bringing you really incredible content in the topic of, AAC and assistive technology. And so that I'm really excited about, because like there was a point where we are like, should we stop doing the podcast? Like, what do we do about this? And I think we both we're like, no, like our heart's still in this. We love the podcast. We love all of our incredible listeners. We know how much of an impact this podcast has made over the years, and there's no reason to kind of stop doing it as long as we can kind of flow with whatever life is kind of giving us at this moment, and be more flexible with kind of the execution of it all.
So I think people can expect that there won't be something every week, but keep it in your podcast feed, because when something comes up, it'll show up for you. I think people can expect varying lengths. I think most people got accustomed to maybe an hour time frame, but the future episodes might be a little bit shorter, like just you and I talking, like you said, or they might be back to that hour where we have an interview. There might be interviews like some of our recent episodes where we didn't have a banter. It was just one of us recording an introduction and getting right to the interview. So if it's why we say it's sort of a surprise each time, and see what you get. What's coming up this week on Talking with Tech, or this time, I should say, not this week with Talking with Tech. Something that has been consistent though throughout the entire time off has been our Patreon. There has been almost every week a new Patreon nugget being shared on Fridays, where it is either a behind the scenes podcast that you recorded that wasn't Talking with Tech, but you were a guest on somebody else's podcast, or I was, or a recording from a video that we did, or some technology tool that we found, or there's always a surprise there. I think people are getting a lot of high quality content over there. Rachel, tell them where we can get the Patreon content.
Yes, patreon.com/talking with tech is where you can find our Patreon. And I just want to say, thank you so much to people for being part of our Patreon. Like, you literally are the lifeline of this podcast. Like, you pay to basically keep this podcast running. Like, it's not free to host a podcast. And obviously our time is involved, but we actually have real costs and expenses. And so our Patreon has been just so incredible. And there's tons of great resources. Like Chris had mentioned, we have been very consistently posting on Patreon. If you're like, Patreon, should I sign up? Years and years of content. I oftentimes will share some of my resources and therapy ideas and little small clips of an interview. And so for sure, if you are looking for more from Talking with Tech, the Patreon is an amazing place to go. And just so grateful for the Patreon. Every time I'm like, wow, these ride or dies really are the lifeline of this podcast. And we're just so grateful. We really are. And you are the reason this exists. And we're just, yeah, I'm so grateful for the Patreon. And we have been very consistently still posting on that.
So with that said, is there anything you'd like to say to kind of wrap us up for this episode?
I mean, at this point, everyone's kind of wrapping up the end of the school year. And so hopefully you guys are just getting a nice summer break if you're in the schools. If you're like me in private practice, maybe not. Maybe you're doing intensive over the summer. But either way, we're so excited to be back. And if there's anything you want to see, we love getting messages from people saying oh, you should interview this person, or how about you talk about this? Talking with Tech is open to whatever you want to see. It helps guide our conversations, the podcast episode ideas. And so talkingwithtech@gmail.com is our email. And please don't hesitate to reach out, because we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you guys are interested in. And so I would say don't be a stranger. Definitely reach out. And if you have any ideas or questions, I also love our questions that we get from listeners. Those make really incredible episodes. So if you have a burning question, you're like, oh, I have this one case or this one kid, don't hesitate to reach out, because again, we're flexible with what this is going to look like in the future.
Well said, Rachel. Well said. So with that in mind, I'm Chris Bouguet.
I'm Rachel Madel.
And we'll see you next time.